I, female, 36, had let my brother Jonas, male, 30, crash at my house due to problems with his wife, Marie, female, 34. Now, this was awkward for me because I was friends with Marie before she began dating my brother, and it was kind of rough to see them fighting. I didn't exactly know what the fight was about, as Jonas was skittish about revealing too much to me. But he just told me that it was getting exhausting and that he needed to stay at my place. I didn't know much about what had happened. I even texted Marie about it, and all she said was that they needed space and that she'll tell me more when she was feeling emotionally ready. Even though we were friends, I guess the fact that I was Jonas's sister made her a little cautious about revealing anything to me that would paint him in a bad light. Anyway, my husband Will and I welcomed Jonas into our home and said he was welcome to stay. For some backstory, Marie and Jonas started dating after meeting at one of my house parties, and they instantly hit it off. Both of them are super emotional, and that often means they're really expressive with each other, in good ways and bad. The good? Well, their wedding vows were some of the most beautiful and heartfelt I have ever heard, and they are still very affectionate with each other when things are going well. The bad? Yikes. Marie tends to make these dramatic IG stories on her private account about the woes of married life or the struggles of getting men to understand things and stuff, which my brother finds quite disrespectful. However, they have been in a relationship for 4 years and have been married for two. From the outside looking in, I didn't realize that something was off, but as I found out, things were scarily off. First things first, from the moment Jonas started crashing at our place, he was just acting off. Sometimes he'd be on his phone alone, but as soon as I walked in, he'd close the screen. When he was in the guest bedroom, I could hear him speaking to someone in a muffled voice. Yet again, when I knocked, it would end abruptly. At dinner table conversations, whenever I tried to lightly ask about what was going on between Marie and him, he would never give a straight answer, but would say something like, "Don't worry about it, sis. I'm going to make things right." It was definitely not his usual self. Yesterday, Jonas came back from work and was visibly irritated. I asked him if he was cool and whether he wanted to order in for the night, and he just blew up at me. I don't know what I said to set him off, but he said, "Frick off, OP. I can't think about stupid shit right now. I'm going up to my room and I need some space. Just give me some space, yeah? Thanks." And then he went up to his room and locked the door. I scoffed, and I had half a mind to go up there and shout at him for acting like a spoiled teenager. But he seemed genuinely distraught, so I thought I'd talk to him during dinner time. Will came home too, and both of us were discussing how to talk to my brother and establish boundaries about his tone today. I went upstairs to invite him to dinner, but there was no response. We waited for about 2 hours, and I started getting worried. I trusted Jonas, but it was definitely weird to not get any response from him at all. We did have the keys to enter the guest room, so I asked Will to go upstairs and check in on him. After about 5 minutes, my husband came back with a paper white face. "Don't go upstairs, and call Marie and tell her to lock her doors ASAP." I asked him what had happened, and he said, "I can't say for sure. There's red stuff all over the room. I think it's blood, and your brother is missing. The bed sheets make a rope to go out of the window. I saw a journal open on the table, and he was talking about making that pig pay." I was terrified, to say the least. Without a second thought, I called the police and explained what had happened. Meanwhile, Will called Marie and told her the same thing, while also telling her we were on our way. Running out onto the driveway, Jonas's car was missing. He must have taken it while we were inside and not paying attention. Will and I immediately went over to Marie's house and saw his car parked outside. And on the walls of the house there was blood, and the whole front porch had been trashed. I could see Jonas screaming up at the window as Marie and another man. What the frick was going on? Will tried to talk Jonas down, but he was behaving extremely aggressively, and my husband ended up tracking him to the ground. He broke down at that point and said that he didn't care what happened next. The cops arrived after that and took Jonas away. Will went with them, and I stayed back to check in on Marie. The other man I had seen was nowhere in the house, and I put it to the back of my mind as a visual goof-up. All of that happened last night, and I can't begin to tell you how wild it was. My mom called me and screamed about calling the police, saying Jonas is in a sensitive spot right now and I don't know the full story. What else was I supposed to do? She keeps talking about how I ruined his life, and it's really getting to me. Should Will and I have gone alone and left the cops out of it? To be honest, I still have to figure out why my brother snapped like that. Maybe that will help me feel less guilty. Update 1. After the police questioned Jonas, we've gotten a lot more clarity about what had been going on. Marie had been cheating on Jonas for the past few months, and he had discovered this only recently. They fought terribly at home, and Marie threatened to call the police and lie about domestic abuse to scare Jonas out of the house. She was willing to lie and blackmail to make sure the true story didn't get out. That's why neither my brother nor she told me much. The day Jonas came back to our house all pissed off was the day he'd been served divorce papers, and apparently Marie had taunted him. Something in him had snapped, and the red stuff was apparently just pig's blood. In his own words, he wanted to mess with that pig of a wife that I had. I'm so conflicted by all this. Marie is definitely in the wrong here, and it's clear she was caught red-handed and was willing to screw over my brother to escape with minimal damage to her reputation. I wasn't sure why Jonas wasn't willing to come to us, but I guess he was just scared that he wouldn't be believed. At the end of the day, I still think with the amount of information Will and I had at that moment, it was the right thing to do to call the cops. However, I do think it would be right for me to go to Jonas and check in with him, since he's only being charged with vandalism. The family is thinking of posting bail for him and then helping him through his divorce. Update 2. Jonas is out, and I spoke to Maria and gave her a piece of my mind. She tried to deny everything at first and played on Jonas's actions that night as a sign that he was just making stuff up. The thing is, after he got out of the police station, Jonas was back to normal. That emotional outburst helped him see clearly, and he told us everything and provided proof for all of his claims. All those calls he was having in our house were actually with Marie, where she admitted to everything and he recorded it. The reason he became even more agitated that night was that Marie had had her affair partner over at the house the night he vandalized the house. So the mystery man I saw was there. His neighbors even confirmed the story on call. Once Marie knew that she couldn't BS her way out of this, she clammed up and cut the call. This divorce is not going to play out in her favor if I have anything to do with it. I've been very open about what Marie had done to our friend group, and it's already leading to a lot of people cutting her off. I also spoke to my mom and told her why I thought my actions were justified. She sees my point of view and says that she acted out of fear for her son at that moment. A police charge against Jonas would hurt his career quite badly. He works in a conservative accountancy firm. Will has been my rock through all of this, and I can't be more grateful to have him with me. Let's see what happens now. This divorce is going to be messy, and even if I'm on Jonas's side, it's clear that he needs some psychiatric help to deal with his emotions and prevent outbursts like the one that happened. It's not a healthy way to cope. Update 3. Marie has been cut off from everyone, not just me and Jonas, but almost all of her friends too. Her affair partner turned out to be one of her work colleagues, and he's pretty much the only person who talks to her now. The divorce is still ongoing, and Marie's lawyers are pretty much banking on the vandalism Jonas did to paint him as a terrible person. However, we're all helping him out with this, and he's been able to prove that wrong easily. For his own sake, my brother is also attending anger management sessions and group therapy sessions for those affected by cheating. In a few months, hopefully, Marie will be out of our lives. For now, Jonas has moved into our guest room, but should hopefully be able to move back into his house soon. Nevertheless, he's hunting for apartments, although I've told him that I'd prefer it if he stays with us. Even if he's in a better place now, I want him to know that the family is there for him. Ha ha, and he offered to pay to clean the guest bedroom, by the way. He had spilled the pig's blood trying to get it out of the window. I still think his actions were a little crazy, but the stories I'm hearing from him about the gaslighting and emotional manipulation Marie put him through make it seem almost tame. We're on the path to recovery, and hopefully my bro come out of this a better man. Changing to NTA after reading the updates. Your brother acted way out of line, but the context put things into perspective. Kudos to you for not ostracizing him after what was a breakdown. NAH, except Marie, of course. Your mom also had too much of a knee-jerk reaction, but you did the right thing at the moment. As for Jonas, can't do anything except feel bad for the poor guy. It just goes to show that you need to know the full story. Next story. I, 18, female, am the oldest of 3. I have a twin brother and another who's 16. I'm going to call him Matt, his nickname, during this. I have had my own apartment with my fiance, 18, male, since we graduated high school 1 year ago. My apartment is situated downtown and there is a lot of buses since it's also next to my school and a high school. My twin brother lives with his best friend in another city, and Matt was living with my mother until today. My dad divorced my mom when my youngest brother was 3, and we never talked to him again. Matt was always a bit of a delinquent and would always disrespect everything and everyone. My mom never did anything about it, but earlier today my mom caught him smoking and drinking in his room. She kicked him out because of it, and he only had the time to get a bag of essentials. He can go back to get all of his things later. Matt decided to come to my apartment by bus, and I let him in. I was wearing a sports bra, top, and a pair of basketball shorts. It's my favorite outfit, and I wear it a lot. After we talked for a bit, I decided to let him stay the night, and he told me we would talk more tomorrow since I needed to take care of my fiance, who got into a minor accident a couple of days ago. While I was walking to my room, he told me I shouldn't wear such things because it made me look like an easy girl. I got really mad but decided not to say anything. I took care of my fiance for a bit before going back into the living room and finding my brother eating and making a mess all over my couch while listening to his show really loud. I was getting even more annoyed and decided to tell him my terms in the moment instead of waiting. I told him if he wanted to stay, I can't let him stay for free like that, and I don't get money since he dropped out of high school. I told him I give him a month to find a job, and he needs to sleep on the couch, and he can only bring his clothes since we don't have a place for the rest of his things, and that in 1 year I want him gone. He told me I can't kick him out or force him to do anything, especially when he needs to sleep on the couch, like he said, like a dirty dog. And then he called our mom, who is for stupid reasons on his side, and she started calling me a selfish bitch. I think I might be AH for potentially kicking him out since he is my brother, but I'm not his caretaker or legal guardian. I don't have time, energy, or money to deal with him. Update. First, I wanted to say that everything is all right now, as some suggested I went no contact with my mom and my brother also. I wanted to thank everyone for their help, information, and wishes that I received. After the original post, I went to work Friday and my fiance was still at our apartment. During my lunch break, I called my landlord to ask to put on cameras. He said yes, and I told my fiance that he said yes, the landlord. So he, my fiance, installed cameras in the evening after I went to buy some. Saturday, my fiance and me needed to leave because he had a doctor's appointment, so that meant my brother would be alone with my cat. In the bathroom, the camera was placed so that we could only see the pharmacy and nothing else. My brother was not aware of the cameras, and it's not illegal. We saw him take the pills in it, and he took the pregnancy test I was hiding. Nobody knew about it. When we got back, I told him he had a day to leave, and for him and our mom to not contact me again, or I'll call the police on him. Of course, he had to talk to our mom, and I got spammed of messages of her insulting me and other things I can't say here, and my fiancé decided to call the police. I called my twin, and me and my boyfriend locked ourselves in our room waiting for the police to arrive because I couldn't face my brother, and I was scared for us and what he could do. When they arrived, my fiancé went and explained everything to them. We showed them proof, the cameras, the texts, and I decided to put a restraining order on my mother because the text she sent. My brother is now on the waiting list for a child center. I want no contact with them. When my brother arrived, around 1.5 hours later, I explained everything to him and had a breakdown. I could hear my fiance and brother talking in the living room after I went to my bedroom, and they were really mad, but I'm thankful that they were ready to defend me so much. And how my fiance interacted with the whole situation made me feel safe. Thank you everyone for the tips. Calling the police and going no contact really helped me calm my nerves. And for the one who sent me DMs asking about my pregnancy, I'm starting my 5th week, and when my fiancé learned it, he was really happy. This was written Monday. I took Sunday to relax, and today I had work and needed time to process everything. NTA, your mom just kicked him out so she can get off that high horse and cease berating you for something she's responsible for and unwilling to be held to account. Your rules are reasonable, expectations of manners are reasonable, and if he won't comply, not housing him is also perfectly reasonable. Good luck. Next story. I, 25, female, have been in minimal contact with my family for the past 1.5 years. My dad wasn't in the picture growing up, so his side was never there, but my maternal grandparents, 72 female and 77 male, raised me from age 6. I was living with them up until I bought my house at 23 and cut most contact once I was fully moved out. Last week I decided to take my grandparents out to lunch at a nearby pizza place since I will be out of the country for Thanksgiving and Christmas. One of the only times I will speak to them. We were talking about some changes I've made to my house when Grandma mentioned that when grandfather inevitably passes, they have it put in some sort of legal document that I will be in charge of her care if she is unable to care for herself. She said that I shouldn't make plans to stay in my house for long as I'll need space for her and my future kids. I'm not planning on having kids. I asked her why they assumed that I would agree to her living with me when her children, 47, 45, 40, and 38, are perfectly capable of housing and caring for her. She said that they housed and took care of me for 17 years of my life, so me taking care of her for probably 10 shouldn't be that bad of a trait. I told them that there is no way in fresh hell that I'm taking that responsibility, and they started telling me that I am heartless and cruel to turn away a family member. I paid for lunch, told them that the only place she's going if I'm in charge would be a retirement home, and left. I've since had my inbox graced with angry voicemails, emails, and a literal physical letter at my workplace from one of their kids calling me a bitch. I know I should be standing up for myself, but I might have overdone it in this circumstance. AITA. Edit 1. We do not have a good base relationship. I have a slightly better relationship with my grandfather, but even then it's questionable at best. Also, to clear up some confusion in the comments, my mother was unable to raise me, which is why they took me. I will not go into further details on this. Edit 2. Do not DM me asking if I've considered what would have happened if they would have refused to take me in. This is not going to change my mind on not wanting to take care of them. This is also not a comparable situation. Taking care of a child is not the same as taking care of an elderly adult. Edit 3. Automod flagged the original post, and I was informed that I had to cut out part of the post for it to be approved. If it seems like info is missing, that is why. No, you didn't overdo it. Stand up to them. Her children were counting on you bearing the financial and logistical burden which rightly belongs on their shoulders. Screw 'em. And if they keep up the pressure, tell your own parents that after all this pressure, you might feel uninclined to look after them in their old age. Let them stew over that a bit. NTA. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.